You know what that sound means. Betting the W, episode 14. We are back with another episode. And
yes, sir.
Damon, this week, you just couldn't keep yourself out of trouble.
No, for real.
On Twitter. You were the enemy of women's college basketball Twitter this week.
I was catching flack on Twitter. Everyone was at my neck. Follow me at Damon Wizard for my spicy takes. I said, we saw that Gino said some stuff about a UConn team.
That's a lot.
I said, Gino's kind of been throwing this team under the bus all year. People do not seem to like that.
Which is interesting.
And then today, I'm looking up AZ Fuzz injury because I haven't heard from her in a minute. I want to know what's up.
Right.
I see a headline. Gino, notably head coach of the UConn team,
Yep.
calls the Huskies a poorly coached team.
Not a bad, you know what? Brutally honest, coming from Coach. It's good to see him taking accountability, although he's probably talking about the people he hired rather than himself. I don't think your take was that out there. I think Gino, more than any coach that has had the success that he's had, throws his players under the bus after losses big time. We know he doesn't like losing. He hasn't done it much, but this year they've been doing it more than usual, and he is quick to pass the blame. Very quick.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw we all see it behind the bench here, and we like Nova.
We do. We love Nova. Big East tournament is coming up. That's gonna be huge. We're going to get to college basketball, but I want to lead off with some college softball.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do some housekeeping this episode.
Yeah.
Housekeeping! We're going to clean some things up.
You didn't bring out the outfit?
We couldn't get the costume in time, unfortunately. But we've got a lot of sports going on.
Yeah.
Nothing
for the big sport.
Nothing crazy is happening in basketball at the moment. So we're going to take some time today to touch on all three of our sports that are in action. Mm-hmm. And I want to start off with softball.
Let's do it.
Softball, it's been going strong. The start of the season is absolutely crazy. We talked about it. Teams are up. Some teams have played like 17, 18, 20 games already because they're playing at tournaments. They play multiple games every day. They go out there. They're on the grind. It's crazy. But it means we've got a lot of stats, a lot of numbers to look at, and I like what I've seen. There's a lot of parity. I called for some parity. I didn't want to see Oklahoma go wire to wire. Saw enough of that in basketball so far.
I think they'll pretty much go wire to wire.
They definitely bounced back in a huge way. So last week we mentioned they lost to Baylor. That was a big upset. After that episode, they came back in a huge way. I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. They came back in a huge way with a 14-0 drubbing of UCLA. UCLA moved into the number one spot and then immediately had to face down an angry Oklahoma team, and that did not go well for them at all. No. 5 innings, they got run-ruled. Oklahoma had the pitcher of the week in the Big 12. She threw a shutout. They hit 6 home runs to back her up. It was just a massacre.
That was a rough game for UCLA, man.
It's a tough go for anybody that faces Oklahoma, especially coming off of that loss.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I really don't think we should overreact to anything early in the season. I mean, I guess we're not even really early in the season. They played like 20 games.
They're ridiculous. Well into the season now.
Like 2 weeks in.
I think this is the best team in the country.
Yeah.
But I do like that early season loss. What I hope it means is that anything can happen. Anybody can lose. It might mean that Oklahoma needed to lose one and now they'll never lose again. But I'm optimistic. I think they could lose a big one down the road. They don't play Oklahoma State until the very last series of the season. At the end of May. That is going to be crazy because Oklahoma State, when you look at the numbers, they are maybe the second best team in the country. Yeah. They might be better than UCLA. So when the time comes, I think that might be 1 versus 2, and that 3-game series is going to be must-watch the whole way through.
For sure, and it's going to be we would talk about South Carolina LSU for months
Yes.
ahead of time. This is that for softball.
Yes, and hopefully it lives up to the billing a little bit, and it's not Oklahoma run ruling the Cowgirls 3 straight games.
I don't know, man. Oklahoma's so good.
They are
14-0
really,
UCLA.
really good. And I mentioned it in our season preview, but like the fact that they lost so many players and have come back better, it's insane. Like just incredible coaching. So, other things from the world of softball. My beloved Clemson Tigers took 1L, lost to Tennessee, but they're back on track. My girl, Millie Thompson, is 6-0 in the circle. I like her. She's a little wild in the circle. She has the highest ERA on the team and gives up the most runs, but she's undefeated.
Yeah, if you're scoring runs, who cares how many you're giving up?
That's all that matters. She's got the run support. I will say the one loss, Tennessee won 1-0.
Ooh.
And so not a lot of run support there for Valerie Cagle, who might be my pick for a potential National Player of the Year.
Oh, okay.
She has a team-high 508 batting average, which is like top 10 in the country. And she's 7-1 pitching with a sub-1 ERA. She was last week the ACC Pitcher of the Week and Player of the Week. Unreal. Valerie Cagle is such an incredible player. Millie Thompson, my favorite player, most eccentric. I still love the Tigers, and I do think that Tennessee is legit.
There we go. I mean, we all know I'm not a softball connoisseur. That's not the right word. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah.
I'll just put it bluntly.
Leave it like that.
So, I'm looking at these stats, and they're all ridiculous.
They're pumped. If you're used to watching baseball, seeing softball stats is crazy.
I don't even know what I'm looking at when I see Valerie Cagle 508 batting average and 7-1 sub-1 ERA.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
It's crazy the way that one player can dominate both sides of the ball. And I mentioned Tennessee, Kiki Malloy slashing 472, 565, 1-1-1-1. She is just raking the ball, and that's not even a great batting average, but she's up there in OPS. It's like 472 is kind of slack.
It's not all that.
She's a power hitter, so she's cranked. Like her OPS is up through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, 1-dot slugging is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's not even the highest. Like there are girls who are just racking up these hits. I think it'll be interesting once we get into conference play. I think that's where things kind of even out a little bit, but there will still be 500 hitters on these teams.
Yeah. I'm excited to see who can separate themselves in conference play, because you look at the rankings, it's a lot of 15-1, 14-1.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, they played a lot of games, but I don't know about the competition yet.
Yeah, exactly. They've been matching up some lopsided competition. We've had some great, exciting games, but there have been some blowouts for sure.
Talking about lopsided competition, you want to bring up Illinois, Chicago?
Oh yeah, no,
give them some love.
This is our David going up against Goliath. We're rooting for Illinois, Chicago. They are currently, I believe, 0-18, but they have played a gauntlet of a schedule. Try to pull that up for me. They have been in tournaments with this weekend they play Oklahoma, then Kentucky, then Oklahoma again, then Kentucky again. So they are absolutely up against it this season, and they've not won a game yet, but we theorize that this tough out-of-conference schedule will have them ready to run the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yes.
This is a sleeper pick to win the MVC because they are going to be battle-tested.
And once they start winning games, the conversation is just going to turn to their strength of schedule.
Oh, yeah.
No one's going to care about the record when they see Oklahoma 2 times in 1 week.
They will have 20, maybe 25 losses at the end of the season, but they're going to be like, yeah, we lost to Oklahoma, Clemson, Tennessee, South Florida, everybody. We played everybody. They take all comers at Illinois, Chicago. So that's our mid-major darling of the year. We're gonna be waiting for them to explode come conference tournament time. And honestly, you mentioned a lot of teams have really pompous records, but nobody's undefeated, at least not at the top, which I think is sick. I think it shows that we're in for some chaos. Hopefully that carries on throughout conference play and throughout the Women's College World Series. Just love to see competition.
Yeah.
Lots of teams getting involved. And anything can happen. Anything can happen. Any given day for college softball.
It's March, man.
It is March. Chaos everywhere. Speaking of March Madness, we are getting into it. College basketball is heating up. We mentioned Champ Week takes a little bit of time. You've got a lot of these tournaments have 11, 12 teams in them, so you got to weed through the first couple rounds of play before you get to the teams that have a chance to go deep. But before I get into Champ Week, we had the end of the regular season this week.
Ooh.
And it took everything I had to let another sport lead off the show for once, rather than starting the way that we always start, which is Caitlin Clark is the National Player of the Year. And I could not be more confident in the Hawkeyes right now.
Ooh.
I kept calling games this year the game of the year. I nailed it with my last one. This was perfect. I the schedule makers couldn't have known that Indiana was going to be this good. They knew Iowa was going to be good, but final game of the year, number 2 Indiana with 1 loss visits Iowa City to play Iowa, the hottest player in the nation. And man, did she step up. And there were so many good players on both sides, Iowa and Indiana, but Caitlin Clark just head and shoulders ahead of all of them. 34-9-9, and the incredible buzzer beater to send Indiana home. It's crazy.
It was ridiculous. I remember I was watching it. If you look at my Twitter, it's just all caps. Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark. I think there's no question that she's the player of the year at this point.
No doubt.
She's got the skills. She leads the team in every statistical category. She's got that clutch gene. Mm-hmm. She's got that dog in her.
Yes,
she absolutely has the dog, and it is just crazy. It is so cool to watch her play. And look, they're sporadic. They don't play great defense, but I just believe in this team so hard, and I have been all season. I'd rather go down with Iowa than win with anybody else, so I'm sticking with the Hawkeyes. And on that note, I saw a JWS post about current title odds in women's college basketball. You notice anything that surprises you?
Well, obviously South Carolina -150. That's not surprising.
That's crazy. They are more likely to win the tournament than teams are to win a game. Money lines don't usually get up to -150.
Hawkeyes +4,000.
+4,000. You got Utah, who we'll get to, at +3,000. Hawkeyes all the way down at +4,000.
UConn, who's poorly coached, at +900.
Indiana all the way up at +800. I don't believe in them that much.
No.
+4,000 is crazy. They're on the same line with Virginia Tech, who is a good team, but is not as good as Iowa.
Speaking of Indiana,
for your consideration,
5-point game, 30 seconds left.
Indiana, man. So they had the last game of the season, lost to Iowa. Now they're up against number 9 Michigan State, which is a crazy ranking for them. It just shows how good the Big Ten is. This is the only team outside of Iowa who Indiana has lost to this year. They lost to Michigan State, and now it is a 5-point game late.
But Michigan State's battling. They just came back from a 12-point lead.
Mackenzie Holmes fouled out, so she's no longer
Indiana's screwed.
Mackenzie Holmes. I mean, there are only 35 seconds, so it's going to take a lot. But this just goes to show that, I don't think Indiana's built for the long run. They were good to win, a lot of games in the regular season, but in the Big Ten tournament, in the national tournament, I'm taking Iowa to advance further regardless.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to keep going on this tangent of this game, but Mackenzie Holmes was really the only one stepping up here, and now she's out, and that's scary for Indiana. I'm not going to say 5 points in 30 seconds is a lot.
That's a lot.
Hey, we'll see. We're going to keep
an eye on it.
I'll let you know.
And, excuse me, so that was the big regular season finale. As you can see, we were well into tourney time. We are getting really excited. We are slowly getting into the playoff basketball, as I mentioned. Damon, would you like to take a victory lap?
I think we got it.
I think we should take a victory lap.
Get off the
Damon, who do we have in the Pac-12 tournament last night? In Salt Lake City, specifically.
Yeah,
Or Vegas. In Vegas. Vegas, Who was the 2 seed in the Pac-12 tournament? Wow.
I'm Pretty sure it was Utah.
It was Utah, the Utes. They had Washington State. I don't think we've ever said that name on this podcast before.
I don't think we have.
I don't think they're a team worth noting all season long.
I don't think Utah was either.
So,
And yeah, we kept saying their names.
we have been doubting them all season long, and they keep proving us wrong. Well, we doubted them hard. Kate and I picked Stanford to win the Pac-12. Damon picked Colorado. Nobody touched that 2-seed Utah. First round exit. They lost to Washington State last night. They had the win against Stanford in the final game of the season. We were looking at that all season long as, this potential loss for Stanford here. It happened. The AP poll overreacted, as they do, and they put the Utes in the number 3 spot. Crazy move. A crazy
Hey,
move.
go for it, AP. Go crazy, buddies.
The number 2 team in the country, number 3 team in the number 3 team in the country, number 2 team in the Pac-12, goes out last night and loses their first conference tournament game against Wazoo.
And this makes the Pac-12 tournament very interesting.
Very interesting. I still like our pick of Stanford.
I mean, it's a safe pick.
It is a safe pick.
I like it. It is what it is.
Sometimes you got to play them safe. This one felt like safe.
I'm feeling phenomenal.
I think you're good for at least 1 point of them getting there. Might even be a 3-point situation if they can. I mean, Stanford is very beatable. Very beatable.
I need the UCLA Colorado final.
That would be incredible.
I've been so high on both these teams all year. If they can match up in the Pac-12 the championship, come on.
I think UCLA is the biggest threat.
Yeah.
I don't not fear Colorado, but I actually fear UCLA more.
Yeah.
I think this is their time. They looked really good in their opening game. UCLA
is the better team.
They are the better. And they beat
Then
ranked
Colorado.
Arizona
Yeah.
last night or 2 nights ago.
That was an interesting matchup. I don't know how UCLA was the 5 seed and Arizona was 4 seed.
It's so confusing because UCLA is a top 10 team. I don't know. That just goes to show how confusing the Pac-12 is.
I think you put it best right here. Pac is whack.
Oh yeah, I forgot I even put that. The Pac is whack. Oh yeah. I'm not gonna take too much of a victory tour because I did say I very nearly picked USC to win the Pac-12, and they got upset by 11 seed Oregon State. That's even more. The expectations were lower, but that's bad too. So my sleeper from the Pac-12 was a big disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Pac is whack. Well, if we look a little older, because we already did this portion of the show and then lost the audio completely, and it's a few hours later.
Yeah, and some stuff has happened, honestly.
Obviously, we're going to get some things right now that we got wrong in the first take.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things to talk about. Where we left you, if I remember correctly, if I remember a few seconds ago, the Pac is whack. Pac-12 is very confusing. Nothing new there on that front, but just sit tight. As far as other conference tournaments go, we just had the Big Ten tournament heat up a little bit.
A lot of Big Ten news.
We watched Indiana escape Michigan State this morning, and then just now, Ohio State beat Michigan State in a very good game.
Just Michigan.
Oh, yes, just regular Michigan. Ohio State and Michigan in the game. It was a very good game.
Yeah.
I think either of those teams could have been, a team to make some noise. So we'll see about Ohio State in the Final Four. Right now we've got the 1 versus 4 set, and then we have Iowa playing Purdue and Maryland playing Illinois. That'll be a great game, and then we'll have a couple of great semifinals coming up.
I mean, of the teams remaining, I think any of them can win it, except maybe Purdue.
Yeah, probably not Purdue. Everybody else, got a good shot. Let's see it. Other conference tournaments, some of our mid-majors are shaking out a little bit. We have had some eliminations from the board. The Conference Championship Challenge. A couple of Kate's teams lost earlier today, or last night rather. Indiana University, Purdue University at Indianapolis did lose to Fort Wayne. A crushing defeat for Kate's side of the spreadsheet. And then today, her Eastern Tennessee State, I don't even know what their mascot is, but they lost today in the Southern Tournament. And Damon, our resident Southern Conference Tournament champion expert,
Yeah.
Mercer lost last night as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't really rock with the South anyway, so
Yeah.
it's all cool.
South is overrated. So we've got a few zeros, but there are going to be some numbers going in there soon as we build towards our winner and, more importantly, our loser, who's going to have to eat a giant burger.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I almost want to lose just so I can have the burger.
Kind of looks delicious, honestly. Might not be thinking that halfway through, but I'm excited to see it regardless.
Yeah.
And speaking...
I just got to stretch a little.
That's right, just got to stretch first. And speaking of our picks from last week, we managed to miss a conference. And if you watched last week's episode, you're thinking they talked for 30 minutes about mid-major basketball tournaments. There's no way they possibly missed one. We actually did. Google fails to recognize the ASUN, and thus so did we.
Yep.
That being said, we are all picking Florida Gulf Coast, who actually entered the AP poll this week. Exactly. So, number one seed in their tournament, and potentially a team to make some noise in March. So we're all rocking with the Eagles. Now, we do have some big matchups coming up. Indiana, as we mentioned, escaped Michigan State. It was a great game. UNC Duke meets tonight, probably before this episode comes out. I know we're sticking with Duke.
Yep.
Although they just lost to UNC like a week ago. Whatever side you're picking, I don't blame you, but bet the under. Hammer the under. The Duke under is back in a big way. After going over in their game against NC State, the total was 96 points when they played UNC last time.
It's ridiculous when you play a full game and can't reach triple digits.
It's crazy. It's unreal. I've never seen anything like it. And hopefully this defense is built for March. We're going to see. Tonight we also have Stanford matching up with UCLA. That'll be huge. It feels like it's those two and Colorado in the Pac-12, so we'll see.
Hey, you can't count out Wazoo after.
I guess not. Team of Destiny, maybe. Team of Destiny. And then we've also got Illinois at Maryland. As we mentioned, that is going to be a huge matchup.
Yeah.
A really talented roster at Illinois versus a star in Diamond Miller at Maryland. It's going to be big.
Yeah. When these tournaments heating up, these are good matchups.
These are really good matchups, and that's why it's so exciting to get down to the nitty-gritty of it, because we got all those early tourney games out of the way. As far as our third sport that's going on at the moment, women's WLAX is happening. And the story when we recorded this the first time was what has happened so far this week, but the story right now, Boston College and UNC in a rematch of last year's title game, BC's down bad. We were high on BC when we first recorded this, not so high right now. 12-3 at the time of this recording, and it's going to be a tough comeback for the Eagles to mount. UNC looks real good, and they spearhead just a monster of an ACC conference.
Yeah.
We've got Syracuse is super good, beat Albany 22-5 on Wednesday. We've got Virginia coming up with a game coming up tonight. They host a Clemson team that's in their debut season who is also really good. But it's not, all a clear path for the ACC. Just last night, or on Wednesday rather, James Madison, number 12 team in the country, upset number 5 Maryland 8-7.
It's crazy.
Crazy game.
And the DMV is so good at lacrosse.
So good. It's scary good. Like that little portion of the East Coast, crazy good spot for lacrosse. Between the Carolinas and the DMV, it goes nuts. That's the place to watch. But also, keep an eye on the West Coast tonight. Stony Brook, number 6 in the country, visits Stanford.
Okay.
Stanford is also a top 20 team, and they get home field in Palo Alto. That's a big factor as well.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that matchup. Tomorrow, we've got number 11 Duke hosting number 13 Notre Dame. Now I got to roll with Duke. Shout out Maddie McCorkle, good friend of mine. A star for the Duke women's lacrosse team. That's going to be a huge ACC matchup. It feels like almost all of their teams are ranked. And then on Sunday, number 5 Maryland looking to bounce back. They've got a big one against number 9 Denver. Denver beat Michigan this week. They're a top 10 team. They're going to be exciting to watch. This is going to be big for Maryland to prove that that James Madison loss was just a fluke, because it doesn't get easier from here. And now, to wrap up our show, we've got our walk-off segment. The first time around, it was a little more of a production. Kate's not here right now. So we'll run through our picks, and then we'll give you Kate's pick as well. I've been rattling on about women's lacrosse. I got to stay there. I love this board this weekend, and I feel great about Penn State at home versus Loyola Maryland. Loyola Maryland is a top 10 team. Penn State is unranked, but they're 4-0, and they're at home. I think that makes a big difference. I'm rolling with the Nittany Lions to stay perfect with an upset over the Greyhounds.
I like it.
What are you feeling, Damon?
I said it last time. I'll say it again for the people this time. I wanted more than anything to pick a softball game, but I'm an advocate of betting responsibly.
Yeah.
I can't, in good conscience, pick a softball game when I know pretty much nothing about the sport.
Is that what you know, folks?
I'm going to stay in the basketball realm. I'm picking a game tonight. I like Illinois over Maryland.
Ooh. My man loves the Illini. You have all season.
That starting lineup is so good. Depth is a little questionable, but they're going to be playing big minutes. Who cares? Just let them run.
Maryland hasn't had a letdown spot in a while either. They're riding high. It seems like they kind of go up, and then they drop down.
Yeah.
So this could be the spot for them to lose. Illinois, they're a good March team. I like what they got together. As for Kate's pick, we're hoping that BC softball takes care of business a little better than their lacrosse team is right now. She is rolling with the Eagles on the diamond, visiting UC Riverside.
UC Riverside.
Okay. She is rolling with Boston College over Riverside this weekend. Take those picks. We got 3 different sports represented.
There you go.
Do with them what you will. Those are some games to keep an eye on. We hope we caught you up on everything that's been going on. Not too much basketball this week, but next week will be very Champions Week heavy. We're going to have a lot to talk about, and this spreadsheet is going to have a lot of numbers. Hopefully not too many zeros in it. So
A lot of threes. A lot of threes.
Follow along on socials and all that. March will be crazy busy for us, so we are so excited. Take these picks, go into the weekend, have a great weekend, win some money for us. See